Welcome to the channel that brings ancient wisdom back to life, where truth meets transformation, and where imagination is not a fantasy, but the creative power of God Himself waiting to be awakened in you. If this is your first time here, you're not here by accident. This channel is a sanctuary for those ready to break the chains of limitation and step into the truth that's been buried beneath the noise. You are not stuck. You are simply misaligned. And tonight that changes. In the next moments, we're going to explore a teaching that is as practical as it is profound. You won't just learn how to change your life, you'll discover how to rearrange the very structure of your mind and finally see results where nothing worked before. This isn't wishful thinking, it's divine law proven through experience. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Stay with us until the end. And if this message stirs something in you, subscribe, share it with someone you love, and become part of this growing movement of conscious creators. Now let's begin the transformation. You are not what has happened to you. You are what you continue to assume about yourself over and over, moment after moment. Everything begins with assumption, not the kind that guesses, but the kind that believes deeply, irrationally, confidently, even when there's no evidence, especially when there's no evidence. That's the first key. You do not change your life by trying harder. You change it by rearranging the mind that is doing the trying. Let's say this clearly now. The rich man, the poor man, the beggar, the artist, the criminal, the saint, these are not different people with different destinies. They are different arrangements of the same mind, the same I am, the same God, expressing itself through different internal structures. That means your current reality isn't your truth, it's just your current arrangement. Rearranged, everything changes. You have not been punished by life, you've been mirrored by it. What you consistently assume, you inevitably become. This is the law, and the most sacred thing you can do is take it seriously. So if tonight you're ready, truly ready, to test this for yourself, you can begin immediately. Not next week. Not when things are easier. Right now. Close your eyes, and for one quiet moment, silence the noise of logic. The world has already told you who it thinks you are, but the world is only your shadow, a reflection of your past assumptions. It cannot tell you who you can become. What do you desire? Don't censor it, don't downgrade it to something reasonable. Pick the real thing. Pick the thing that sets your soul on fire. Now ask, if I were that person already, how would I think? How would I walk? How would I feel? That's the rearrangement. The steel that lifts bridges and holds up skyscrapers is no different from the steel that lies useless in a pile. What makes the difference? The internal arrangement of its molecules. That's it. The same substance, the same material. One is aligned, one is not. And so it is with you. There is only one mind, one power, one God, and you are using that power every time you say, I am. But what are you attaching to it? I am tired. I am not enough. I am stuck. Every time you speak those words, you are arranging the mind in the direction of limitation, and the universe, neutral and obedient, begins to harden that structure into fact. But when you awaken, when you dare to shift your self-concept to assume, I am free, I am chosen, I am already the one I've longed to be, that's when the law of liberty activates. That's when the machinery of reality begins to bend toward your assumption, regardless of appearances. And appearances will try to mock you. You will see no evidence, you will hear no affirmation from the world, at first. But this is the moment when your faith is revealed. Will you abandon your new state like a fair-weather dreamer? Or will you persist like a God who knows that what he imagines is law? Neville once said, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. That is what separates those who transform from those who stay trapped in cycles. They persist in the assumption until it becomes the only truth they know. If you're in debt, imagine you are wealthy. Not tomorrow, now. Not because you're lying to yourself, but because wealth is simply a state, and you have permission to enter it. If you are heartbroken, assume you are loved again, not by a specific person, but by the universe itself, by the life you've built, by the peace that lives inside your soul. If you are sick, dare to feel wholeness. Even as the symptoms rage, feel vitality. Rearrangement does not wait for proof, it creates it. And if you say, "But how?" you've missed the point. The how is not your concern. All you must do is hold the state, occupy it, sleep in it. Let it dominate your inner speech. Let it fill your idle moments. Let it become more real to you than the so-called facts. If the world says you're unemployed and your inner man says, "I am hired, I am useful, I am in demand," which voice will you obey? The man who rearranges the mind and persists, he wins. Scripture calls this the perfect law of liberty, not just freedom from jail cells, but freedom from identities, freedom from shame, freedom from the repetition of what no longer serves you. James writes, "Be doers of the word, not hearers only. For the hearer is like a man who looks into a mirror and immediately forgets what he saw." What is he saying? Don't just listen to this message, live it. Don't admire your reflection and return to doubt. Become what you saw. And what does the doer do? He closes his eyes in the midst of chaos and imagines peace. She dares to believe she is chosen when the world says she's forgotten. He walks through a crowd knowing he is powerful, even when his bank account says otherwise. She lays her head on the pillow, not in worry, but in deep assumption, it is done. To the world, this is madness. To those who know, it is the beginning of miracles. So tonight, don't just listen, begin. Go ahead, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Sleep there. The first time you assume a new reality, it may feel like play, a beautiful illusion, a quiet fantasy. But as you persist, you realize something profound. This inner state has gravity. It starts to pull your world into alignment. Your outer world begins to echo your inner world. Not all at once, but like the tide, it turns, unseen at first, and then suddenly, overwhelmingly, undeniably. But here's the truth you must write on your soul. Your senses will try to betray you. The moment you assume wealth, bills will show up. The moment you assume health, pain may intensify. The moment you assume love, silence may greet you. That is the test. That is the crucible of creators. And in that moment you must not retreat. Because if you do, if you let what you see override what you know, you have rearranged your mind back to the old state. You become the hearer who looked into the mirror, saw his natural face, and forgot. Reality does not respond to wishful thinking. It responds to sustained assumption, to inner knowing, to spiritual defiance, to a quiet, immovable yes. Do you understand? This isn't about pretending, it's about dwelling. The man who walks free isn't pretending. He simply no longer entertains bondage. The woman who is loved doesn't fake confidence, she radiates it, because she knows she is chosen. So when the old patterns show up, and they will, you don't panic, you don't crumble. You say, "Ah, there you are, the echo of my former mind." And then you return to your new arrangement. You sit still, close your eyes, and see yourself differently. Neville once said, "Man's perceptions are not bounded by organs of perception. He perceives more than sense, no matter how acute, can discover." This means you are not limited to what you see. You can feel what's coming before it arrives. You can touch the thing you desire in consciousness long before it becomes physical. So do that. Touch the life you want. Feel the house you want to live in, the sunlight through the windows, the weight of the doorknob in your hand. Walk the floors barefoot in your imagination. Smell the scent of home-cooked food drifting from the kitchen. Can you do that? Good. Now, stay there. When your phone lights up with another delay, stay there. When someone questions your dream, stay there. When your mind whispers doubts in the dark, stay there. Because if you can hold the new state through contradiction, you are no longer hoping. You are becoming. It's not about resisting reality. It's about selecting a higher one and committing to it internally. And yes, it's uncomfortable. The old self will beg for your attention. It will say, "This is foolish. Be realistic. Don't get your hopes up." Ignore it. That voice is the ghost of a self you've outgrown. You were not made to survive life. You were made to create it. So create boldly. Create irrationally. The world calls it delusion, but the soul calls it faith. Faith is seeing the invisible and insisting that it is more real than the visible. And if you're looking for a sign that this works, look at your current life. That too was once an assumption. That too was once a repeated inner conversation. And now it breathes around you. So what if you took responsibility for that? What if you said, "If I created this, even the pain, then I can create something better"? That's not guilt, that's liberation. You're not broken. You've just been arranged in the image of someone you no longer wish to be. So, rearrange, gently, boldly, every day. Start with the smallest things. If you feel ignored, imagine being seen. If you feel lack, imagine generosity. If you feel anxiety, imagine peace. Speak as if you are already there. I am calm. I am guided. I am chosen. I am wealthy. Not to convince the world, but to reprogram the structure of your being. You don't need to hustle to change the outer world. You only need to persist in the inner world. That is the secret. Every great mystic, every prophet, every awakened being has known. Your life does not rise by effort alone. It rises by assumption. And when assumption becomes your atmosphere, when it becomes the tone of your thoughts, the feel of your breath, the undercurrent of your emotions, then it becomes fact. Neville called it rearranging the structure of the mind. Modern science would call it neuroplasticity. Scripture calls it renewing the mind. Different words, same truth. You're not waiting for the world to catch up. You're training it by changing what you accept as true. So when you hear the noise of doubt, the gossip of your past, the silence of delay, you smile and you return to the inner state. No apology, no explanation, you just become. Again and again and again. Until one day, you wake up in the exact life you once imagined. And people will say, "You're lucky." And you will smile because you'll know better. You'll know you rearranged it, inside first, and the world obeyed. This is the power you've always had. Now it's time to use it. This is the moment you stop waiting. This is the moment you stop begging. This is the moment you stop doubting, because now you know the truth. You do not need permission to become what you already are. You do not need a sign. You are the sign. You do not need validation. You are the voice. And you certainly do not need the world to agree, because the world is only responding to the shape of your mind. You are not the victim of circumstance. You are the architect of experience. You are not the result of your past. You are the result of your present assumption. And this law, this perfect law of liberty, is no respecter of status, age, education, or religion. It works when you work it. It answers to your alignment, not your history. So ask yourself, really ask, who am I willing to become? Not what will they think, not what's realistic, not what's logical, but who am I willing to become now? Then dare to assume that it's already done. And no, you don't need to feel it perfectly. You just need to return to it persistently, again and again, through resistance, through confusion, through the noise of old patterns, because the only way out is through the inner state, through the rearrangement, through the repetition of the unseen. Neville said, "That which I have done, do nothing." Why? Because once the structure of the mind has been rearranged, once you've committed internally, the outer world must bend to match it. It may resist at first, it may delay, but it must obey. Why? Because God is not out there. God is your imagination, and your imagination is always creating. So what are you imagining? What are you speaking in silence? What are you assuming when no one is watching? That is your offering to the divine. Not a ritual, not a chant, but a self-concept so saturated in your new reality that the old you begins to dissolve. And when you stand in that new state, when you no longer question if it's working, when you no longer seek proof, that's when proof arrives. Because assumption is the seed, and faith is the soil. You must water it with conviction, guard it from the weeds of doubt. Let the sunlight of imagination reach it every single day. And one morning, without effort, the harvest comes. They will ask how you did it. You will tell them, I stopped trying to change the world and changed the world within me instead. And you'll know with every fiber of your being that this is what it means to be the doer of the word. This is what it means to walk in power. This is what it means to become God in action. So as this message fades, don't let it just inspire you. Let it rearrange you. Let it change the furniture of your inner world. Let it shift the placement of your thoughts, the tones of your inner voice, the assumptions behind your breath. This is not theory. This is reality waiting to be chosen. Rearrange your mind, and everything changes. Now go. Do not return to the old state. Do not crawl back to what you were. Tonight, sleep in the new state. Breathe as the one who has become. Speak as the one who already is. And when you wake up, do not wait for signs. Be the sign. You are the cause. You are the change. You are the living, breathing proof that the mind, when aligned with truth, can shape the very fabric of reality. Welcome home.